In this season at Level Up Stronger, we're speaking with women across the globe who have found careers in male-dominated trades industries.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that about the whole recession and COVID and everyone losing their jobs. That's how I got into construction.
In this episode, we meet E'ala Burgess, who is leveling up stronger in construction sales. Like so many, COVID impacted E'ala's career and sent her in a completely new direction.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing good. How are you?
Awesome. So pronounce your first name for me. Is it E'ala?
Very close. It's E'ala.
E'ala. Okay. Wanted to make sure that I pronounced that completely correct. So I want to go back and record the intros and all of that.
No problem.
That's awesome. So how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a beautiful day in Florida, as always. We got a nice
Absolutely.
that came down, so it's not humid and scorching like I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, no, that's good. We've had projects in Florida for years, and I spent quite a bit of time there. So
What do you do, Tiffany? What is your business?
So I am the COO of a large company that does facilities management, mostly for the government. So we do facilities management, construction, and environmental abatement and management.
Okay.
We have about 200 employees, and up until recently, we manage all of the federal buildings in Miami.
Okay. So you're here in Florida as well.
Yes. Yep. We have employees there in Florida. We actually have sites all over the country. And at one point in time, we were stretched from Florida to Hawaii as far as
no way.
Yeah. So it was a lot. And so the reason I started this podcast was because I started to see a trend in that our team was getting older. Our HVAC technicians, our electricians, and everybody, they were getting older, right? And so I realized that they were probably all going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10. And that seemed to be the kind of trajectory that we were looking at from the industry as well. And so it was twofold. Like I started looking at, okay, how do I get younger people first to want to come and be part of the trades? Because I'm going to run into an issue with not being able to find enough electricians and HVAC technicians and everybody to fill the positions that we need. And then I'd looked at the pandemic started and I saw a bunch of women just losing their jobs, right? So a mass exodus of ladies out of jobs and positions. And here we are sitting on an industry that was considered essential.
Yeah.
Right. And it's missing people. So, and 51% of the society doesn't even see this as a viable career opportunity for them, which literally doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things. So I set about trying to figure out how do we fix this, because my entire team are male, right? I think in the 8 years that we've done facilities management, I think we've hired 2 women because only 2 women have applied. And so that for me was sad because one, I feel like women can do anything, right? I started at the bottom and worked my way up from the bottom, from the field. And I feel like women should have the same opportunities, but I don't think we're talking enough to young people and women about what the career is like. And there's this misconception that only men can go into the trades.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of women out there who should be telling their story about how they got into the trades, because yes, there are those stories that you get. I mean, we're breaking ground in male dominated industries, right? But I feel like enough women have been successful, and there are enough companies like mine who support women going into the trades, and thus we need to figure out a way to help people see themselves in this position.
Absolutely.
That's kind of my overarching goal with starting to talk about all of this. And so that's where Level Up Stronger, the podcast, was born, in a way to teach people how to, that, you know, there are these viable opportunities where they can make really good money that are considered essential and really recession proof.
Yeah.
And they're not even, I need them to consider it, because we're going to be in the next 10 years, all the baby boomers are going to have retired and we're all going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that about the whole recession and COVID and everyone losing your jobs. That's how I got into construction. I was the sales coordinator for Hilton Hotels and I managed all their social media. I did like the marketing stuff. So I had a very comfy, cozy job and I thought I was secure there. I'm like, I'm going to retire with this company. And then COVID hit and they cut literally everyone from the entire hotel except for the managers. And I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? I have no money. I'm going to be on unemployment and I have to figure something out. I was very, very lucky. And my CrossFit coach actually was in the roofing industry. So he had already, known me for a year. He saw what I was going through and he took me under his wing, took me up on a couple of roofs and explained to me like, look, this industry is something that is not ever going to fail. It doesn't matter how bad the economy is doing. People need home repairs, people need roofs, people need plumbing, people need electrical. If you can get yourself into this industry and just not be scared and just just go for it. You don't have to worry about if people are going to accept you or not, because it doesn't matter what job you go to. You could go to work in a hotel or a cleaning company or in retail. There's always going to be someone negative, someone unpleasant to deal with. And it's the same thing in construction. You're going to have people that are insanely supportive of the fact that you're a woman in this industry trying to succeed and trying to do something for yourself. And you're going to come across people that tell you that you need to go make them a sandwich. So
100%. 100%. And like you, I think sometimes an opportunity is handed to you and you have no choice but to just say, hey, look, I'm going to run with this and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes, like, if I look back at I started out like doing property cleanouts on foreclosed house. That's how we started the business, right? And then in an 8-10 year trajectory, now we're managing giant military bases and federal courthouses, right? And so, and I'm sitting as the COO. So if you say yes to the opportunities that come your way, right, and don't look at something and think, oh, I don't know that I fit. Like I never saw myself actually like physically going and trashing out foreclosed properties like that. It was the worst year of my life, by the way. Hands down. Absolutely. It was terrible. but that's what got us here. That's what got us the experience to then go launch and work for HUD and then move on from there into military projects. So you just never know, right? So tell me a little bit about like, what is a day in the life of what you do?
Sure. So I do a lot of different things. I wear many hats. I am a project manager. I'm a design consultant. I'm a store trainer. I work for Home Depot Installation Services, which is a branch of Home Depot. A lot of people think I work in the stores. I'm not sitting at a desk and telling people, oh, it's going to be $500 for the store. I'm out on the road all day long. My territory is all of Brevard County in the Space Coast and all of Indian River County, which includes territories about an hour south of here. So I wake up at about 7 a.m. My first appointment starts at 9. I could be working anywhere within an hour of where I live, but I have a company car, so it's okay. What I do is I go out to people's houses, I inspect their windows, I inspect their patio doors, I take measurements, I build estimates. And I build custom quality items for my customers. So I'm not just trying to replace what's there for as cheap as I possibly can. I'm making sure that whatever I put in their home is something that is going to solve whatever problems they're facing, whether that's heat or if they're in a bad neighborhood and they need protection from break-ins, if their main concern is hurricanes, if they're trying to get tax credits for energy efficient products. There's a million different reasons why people do different construction projects. I specialize in windows and patio doors right now. But what I do as a design consultant and as a sales contractor, and what's really nice about this career is I can hop over to anything I want. I could be a salesperson for electrician projects. I came from the roofing industry originally. So I sold roofs, I worked with litigation, I worked with insurance companies. So it's a different day every day. Some days I could be at 6 or 7 different houses doing what I just mentioned. Some days I could have one appointment and the rest of the day I'm going to sit at home and do paperwork and follow up with phone calls. Other days I might be doing store trainings and be, presenting PowerPoint presentations and teaching the different store employees about building code, about installation techniques, about windows in general, about hurricane testing. There's so many different aspects to my job and there's so many different things that I get to do that it's perfect for someone like me. I am not diagnosed with ADHD, but I certainly feel like I have it. I'm one of those people that are constantly on the go. I love the fact that my schedule is insanely full all the time. And a lot of my friends don't really understand it because I'm on call constantly. So I can't necessarily make plans to go and do things. I don't have a set schedule. It's not a 9-to-5 job. I'm always on the clock, and I'm okay with that because, for instance, we were just talking about COVID and everyone losing their jobs and how I got into construction. Within 8 months of me joining this industry and doing construction sales, I paid off $20,000 in credit card debt. I paid off a $16,000 new used car that I just got. I saved up enough to buy a house, so I'm now a homeowner. We're talking about 8 months here. That's a
awesome.
very short time to enter an industry with no knowledge and suddenly be debt free and be a homeowner. Like, this is stuff that people work for 20 plus years to be able to do. So there's so much opportunity with what I do in this job, with doing construction sales of any type, because like we said, this industry, it's recession proof. It's something that's needed constantly. And Melbourne, Florida, specifically where I live, just got named number 4 in the America's top places to live. So we have tens of thousands of people that are moving down here every day, and they are all renovating their properties. So it's a great job. And what I'm doing all day is building relationships, talking to people, selling projects, informing people about what their requirements are, because Florida is very, very different than the states up north in the way that things have to be built and inspected. There's a lot more codes, a lot more standards and requirements. So I'm making sure that I'm informing people properly of what they need to do, and so that they understand the scope of their projects.
Absolutely. So that's really awesome. And I think it's great that, again, and this is where I keep going back to, like with the ladies, like these are industries that it doesn't take a college degree. You're not going to have to spend years and years and years in training. Often it's a little bit of training and you're right in the field, right? And so, and the upward potential in salary is phenomenal. Yeah. And so if a woman has been struggling to provide for their family, there's all of these industries out here that have the ability and need women, hands down need women, but they could go into and actually feel amazingly great about themselves being able to support their family without issues.
Absolutely. The amount of empowerment that you feel doing something like this, just competing against men in the industry. I mean, a lot of us feel subpar. We feel like, oh, we can't compete. That's a man's industry. I'm not going to be taken seriously. But if you come into this with an open mind and you get mentors and you have people that you're working with, that you're building relationships with, that you can bounce ideas off of and call for help when you need it. There's so many people that are supportive in this industry. I've met so many more supportive men in this industry than sexism. And that's just, it's the truth of it.
That's a key component to it, that like there's this fear, and I see it even like in the Facebook posts and things like that, where women who are considering it just assume that because it's a male dominated industry, there's going to be all this discrimination and sexism. And I'm not saying that that doesn't exist, because we've all encountered it, right? At some point in our career, right?
Yeah.
And at all levels. And so, but the upside, because there are companies like mine who are woman-owned, woman-managed. There are, companies that are family-owned and have really good culture that are out there that want to give opportunities to people, and don't allow the sexism and things like that to go on. And so I think it's important that women understand that, like, it's not just because there are those few bad apples within the industry who may do or say things, doesn't mean that all companies tolerate that. And so I think that's a really good point, that, they shouldn't use that as something that keeps them out of the industry. What would you say is the mindset that somebody needs to have to go into this male-dominated industry? Because it is still a male-dominated. Most of the trades, it's less than 10% women, right? So you need to have a certain mindset in order to be successful. What would you say is your recipe to mindset success?
Confidence. You have to go in knowing that you can do this. You can't be doubting yourself. You have to walk into the building and act like you already know what you're doing, but at the same time, be modest enough to sit there quietly and listen and learn off of these other people that may have been in the industry for 10, 20, 30 years. They all have great information to share with you, but don't come in timid. Come in knowing your worth and knowing that you can do this, and you will find people that are going to support you. In my industry, specifically with sales, you have to be okay with taking no's. You have to be okay with rejection. You got to have a strong backbone, because you're going to hear some negative things in the field sometime. You're going to have customers that don't think you can do it because you're a woman. And what you need to do is have so much knowledge about what you do that they can't possibly doubt you. I like to call myself a construction nerd. I sit at home reading building codes at night for fun, because I truly love my industry that much. And I want to make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing with everything. I want to be able to come right off the bat and have an answer when someone asks me a question, and not be going, oh, well, I don't know, I'm new, let me figure it out, let me call my manager. Study, take training courses, do whatever you can do to make yourself indisposable, to make yourself the most knowledgeable person in the room. It doesn't matter how new you are, you belong. You are going to do great in this industry, and all you have to do is be confident enough in yourself to know that, and to not be intimidated by anyone around you, customers or coworkers.
I think that's a key component to anybody going into any industry. Self-education, and keep learning and keep pushing yourself to know more, because as somebody, the last 4 ladies, I think, or 5 ladies that I've interviewed, the kind of the key theme with them is that they believe that they had to work 10 times harder than their male counterpart to even be seen as half as good. So that meant that they were spending a lot of time in their free time figuring out how to be really, really good at their craft, learning how to be better, learning to be completely perfect at everything that they were doing. And so I think that's a key component that you hit the head, nail on the head there, with the fact that, don't just stop learning. Don't assume, never say you don't know what you're doing, and keep looking for ways to improve your skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, is it right that we have to, as women, work 10 times harder? No, that sucks. And it's not what we've been fighting for decades. But little by little, we are gaining acceptance in this industry. People are starting to see us as equals. And even though we do have to work harder right now, it is worth it for the benefits that we reap in this industry. There is so much money to be had here, whether we're talking about, doing a trade like welding or electricity or plumbing. There's so much more money here than there ever could be standing in a shopping mall selling shirts to people.
100%, 6-figure salaries. That's the part that just like boggles my mind. The starting salaries for most of the trades is somewhere around $40,000, right? Which already is more than what you're going to get being a server or in retail, right? For most people. And then the upward mobility of most of these careers is 6 figures if once you get moving, which is really phenomenal. And it doesn't have to be, there is still that work-life balance. So yes, in some of the industries, and you've noted that, and I certainly noted that in what we did, it wasn't really a 9 to 5. There are those emergencies, there are those after hours when you first get started. And I think the longer you spend in the industry, then you figure out how the work-life balance can come into play. For most of the trades, I think there's definitely, it's more of an 8-hour day, right? So you're not having to work long hours into the evening or on the weekends for emergencies, unless you want to, because there's always those overtime opportunities.
Extra money there.
Well, right? So those are phenomenal. What would you say are the challenges to entering the career field that you're in?
I think people self-sabotage themselves more than anything. Challenges that I see and hear a lot of is, like we've been talking about, fear of sexism, fear of not being taken seriously. And really, it's just something that you have to mentally overcome by yourself and understand that not everyone's out to get you. Not everyone is here to see you fail. There's people out there that want to see you succeed, that are going to push and fight for you, that think it's so cool that you are a female in the industry, and they're going to refer you and use your businesses just because you're a female. So I think the challenges of entering the industry is really more so your own mental mindset more than anything, and just knowing your stuff. You have to walk into a building and know that you can do it. And that's really what they're looking for, is to see that you are confident in what you do. And if you walk in there doubting yourself, they're going to see that. So know that your education in whatever trade that you've gone through is sufficient. Know that you can do it. Be confident in yourself. Don't put yourself down. Don't say, oh, well, maybe I could do this, and ask for a higher salary. Ask to be on par with the men. Don't undersell yourself because you're a female. You are educated, you are intelligent, you belong. There is no challenge for you to enter this industry ultimately, except yourself.
100%. I would 100% agree with you. And you're right about asking to be paid the same amount. So know what someone in your industry should be paid and don't take less. Because a lot of years, I think I took a lot less than I should have. And I look back on that now and regret, the years that I didn't stand up for myself as far as equal pay was concerned. So for sure.
And sometimes with that, as a female, like, you're willing to accept a lower pay just to get your foot in the door because you feel like it is an opportunity. So, oh, I'll take less now just so I can get in the door and then I'll get paid more later. But ultimately, as you're working for this company, the male salaries are going up and your salary is going up, but you're still down here compared to where the men are. And it's not fair because you're doing the same job. And like we just said, you're doing it 10 times harder. So you deserve equal pay.
Absolutely. 100%. I would 100% agree with you. If you could give advice, any of the women sitting out there at home who would be listening to this podcast, who are considering that trades may be something that they would like to dip their toe into, what would be your advice to them on how to get started?
Very personal with that. I mean, everyone wants to dip their toe in the water a different way. You can find someone in the industry to be your mentor and ask them to go do a ride along and go see what their day is like. See if it's something that you'd enjoy doing. There's programs out there that offer you it's like a training course that goes on for a few months and you learn about the different trades and the different industries. And then you spend about a month in the field actually doing those different trades. That's a phenomenal program if you can find one in your area, because it gives you an introduction to around 8 or 10 different industries. So you can kind of see all of them at once and decide what's right for you. Of course, it costs money to go through, but if you're serious about making a lot of money in the long run, it's well worth it. It is an investment into your future. So I highly recommend doing that. And just building a network, build professional relationships with people in the industries you're interested in. You can do this even on Facebook, but you can also do it through other websites, and just finding people that do what it is that you want to do, following their pages, seeing what they do, creating a connection with them, message them, reach out to them. People are happy to help people coming into the industry. Success is built on helping others succeed. And successful people know that. So when you reach out to someone who is doing well in the trades, they will be happy to answer your questions. They may even be happy to be your mentor. And I've used that word a few times now, but having a mentor in the industry is so important if you're coming in without any knowledge, because they're going to be your bread and butter. They're going to be the people that you come to with questions, that you come to for help. And they are your resources. Having resources in this industry is so important because you can't do it alone. There's so many different facets to everything. And it's important to have relationships with not only the people you work with, but other people as well. Like for me with sales, I have relationships with real estate agents, with loan officers, with tax people, CPAs, lawyers, general contractors, handymen. And these are all people that I speak to on a regular basis, that I deal with for business. They create a buzz so that when people are talking to them about windows, they go, oh, I have a window person. Here's her phone number. And that ensures my long-term success too. So just build relationships. That's the most important thing you can do.
100% agree, because I think in building those relationships, you then leverage someone else's knowledge or how to get past all of the pitfalls that they went through along the way, right? And so I think it's super important to just spend some time getting to know what someone else who's already done it, how they got to where they are. And then it's really important for people to, as you mentioned, mentor others, because I think if you've been successful, to reach back and help other people, who need to come up, especially right now with women. So I encourage everybody, all the women in this industry, look for a sister who's like, coming up along the way, who might need a helping hand, and figure out how you can kind of point them on the right path. Because the last thing you want is for people to have to go through all of the pain that you went through pain and trials to get to
Right.
where you are, because that would be sad, because then we'll still be right where we're at, right, in 10
Yeah.
years.
And
And
your growth can happen 10 times quicker if you have people behind you. I was
absolutely.
lucky enough when I entered the roofing industry. There was a woman there named Agatha Hall, and she's now left the company, but she is the national social media and marketing director for our RCA roofing here in Florida. And she's phenomenal. She taught me how to brand myself on social media. Just watching someone with that amount of tenacity and energy, networking in a room of 400 people and building these relationships. I mean, instantaneously, she's automatically friends with someone. So I was able to learn that from her, and that's really helped me with my social media branding. There was another woman, and we're still friends. Her name is Peller Allwill. She works for Hippo Roofing up here in the Space Coast. And she worked for many years as a large loss contractor for like commercial buildings for roofing. So she has this insane amount of knowledge, and she really helped me to learn little things, little nuances, and how to overcome issues like you were saying, so that I didn't have to go through them. And we're still friends, even though I'm no longer in the roofing industry. I mean, it's great because we throw referrals back and forth at each other. If I have questions about, oh, hey, how do I do this permitting thing? She can still answer those for me. So yeah, just having people in the industry that you can speak to is vital to your survival and your success.
Well, I think you mentioned social media as a way that you are figuring out how to connect with other people in this industry, which I think is a key component. I think so often we think of social media as something that is the fashion industry's got, and products industries and all of that. But the reality is that we found each other through social media,
Yeah.
right? And there are all of these social media groups out there where women are supporting women, and other countries even. Like, so a lot of the ladies in the group, the Women in Trades Facebook group, are actually in other countries as well. So I'm getting a perspective of how women, even in other countries, and how their countries approach women in trades also. So I've interviewed several
That's really
people in
cool.
Canada. And then I saw that Australia is doing some interesting things as far as women in trades. So I want to figure out what's going on there, because I think we're all, at the end of the day, social media gives us a very broad view of everything that's going on, literally at our fingertips, right? And so we can see how is it that other people are advancing their careers, how are other countries approaching, the gender divide in these industries, and use that as a platform also to brand yourself, because at the end of the day, your network is what gets you ahead.
Yeah. Your
Right?
network is your net worth.
Absolutely, 100%, especially if you're in something like sales, where you are you are selling, as much as you are selling the products, you're selling your knowledge of the products, right? So I think that's an important key component of all of this,
Yeah.
in being able to brand, network, and utilize your knowledge. Have you considered doing anything like, I don't see enough women on Facebook or Instagram or even like TikTok explaining or showing what they're doing in their industries. Have you
Yeah.
considered any of that?
If you go and follow my Facebook, it's just first and last name, E'ala Burgess. If you go and look me up, I post videos all the time with tips and tricks for homeowners, showing, hey, if you have this type of window, here's a building code restriction on that. If you get an estimate with ASTMA 1996 rating on it, here's a difference between that and a Miami-Dade certification. So I love education. That's my favorite part of my job, is helping homeowners, helping people understand what it is that they're looking at, because they ultimately, all a homeowner sees is a number. So they don't understand that this product grade is regional versus this product grade is national. They don't understand that this person has not put any of the building code upgrades into their estimate, which is going to cost $2,000 more at the end. And that's where people get upset, is, all of this money getting added at the end. And it's because either a lack of knowledge of the salesperson, or just a general shadiness of, hey, I can make my estimate lower in the beginning, secure the job, and charge it at the end. It's not a morally or ethically good way to do business, but it's the way a lot of people do business out here, unfortunately.
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely put your links in your bio, so that way, or in the show notes for this particular podcast, because I think it's important that women, again, can see themselves doing all of the things that we are doing every day. I think that's super important. So that's exciting that you're doing that. So I definitely give you props for having, seen that is an important aspect of your career, because giving back in that way is, like you said, helping people. And at the end of the day, that's also projecting your brand to the public, right? That you are an honest contractor who's here to help. So that's phenomenal.
And I want to mention as well, before we shut off here, there's a couple of national groups that have chapters all over the country. And I want to give that information out to anyone who may be watching today. There's the National Association of Women in Construction. They're a fantastic group. They have women from all different industries of construction. So it's very easy for you to go to one of their meetings, meet different people from the places you may be interested in, and talk to them about going to see what it is they do on a daily basis. If you decide to join the chapter, they do education every month on different parts of the industry. They bring in suppliers and producers to talk about different products. Another great group is the American Businesswomen's Association. This one has different people from all walks of life, professors, doctors, local business owners. It's a great opportunity to network with some very high profile people in your community. And then the Chamber of Commerce, those are everywhere. Chamber of Commerce is fabulous. Those are all going to be business owners that can help you succeed, that can provide you referrals. They do grand openings for any local businesses that open. They are all about supporting local business. So check out those 3 groups, if nothing else, and that way you can start to get a feel for what it's going to be like in the industries.
Absolutely. No, that's really good advice. So I appreciate that. Anything else that you want to tell us about the industry? Any parting words? Anything that anything I can answer for you even and help you with?
Right now, no. I mean, I'm very happy that you and I met, and
Absolutely.
I hope we get to keep in connection, because I think what you do is fantastic. And I love that this podcast is going to be helping young women understand that they do belong, that this industry is massively lucrative. You can make so much money here.
Oh, for sure.
And you can develop a career that's going to take care of you and your family for the rest of your life. Do not be scared to get into this industry. There are men out there that are going to be supportive of you, that are going to be excited to have you there. And no matter what job you go to, whether you're working $10 an hour or $70,000 a year, there's always going to be someone negative. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about it at all. You're going to do just fine no matter what you choose to do, as long as you know that you love it.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your time today. I appreciate, all the ladies who have agreed to do this. The intention here is really just to get the word out. It's not, this is really just me trying to figure out a way. And I know all of you, because you've agreed to do this, trying to find a way to get more women to even consider this as an industry. Trades industries can be rife with stereotypes, and working directly with the public can be a challenge when it comes to historically male-dominated industries, because you're working against those stereotypes within the public at large. E'ala sat down with me to discuss how she strives to grow her knowledge and be the best in the business, and how she's helping to develop a new normal of women in construction. Welcome, E'ala, to the show, and let's dive right in.